difference. Even if we saved one life, even if we just protected one more Marine that would come back home, that would have been sufficient enough. Nobody goes to war for accolades. Nobody goes to war for medals.
Right.
You do it for your duty, you do it for your service, you do it for your country. I just couldn't believe that someone would come and, in our house, in our country, and do this. And how could we allow this? And imagine serving your country in a time of war, putting your life on the line to come back to get rejected. We were trained to kill. 24/7, it was like, open doors, shoot, bang, come down, ask questions later.
Yeah.
Freedom isn't free.
Right. All right. What's up, Gas?
What's going on?
Thanks for being here, brother.
No problem, thank you.
So we're just going to jump right into it, man. Why don't you just tell us your name, branch of service, the years you served, and your job in the military.
All right. My name's Efrain Gastelum. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I served from 1997 to 2001, reaching the rank of corporal. I started off as Marine Corps Security Forces, then transitioned to the fleet as an 0351 anti-tank assaultman with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines.
Awesome. All right, how about you, let's talk about, where you're from, and tell me a little bit about your upbringing, how you were raised.
Sure. I was born and raised in Huntington Park, California, to about the age of 7. Broken home. Dad left, wasn't really around. Moved with my mom to Baldwin Park, small condo. Mom remarried. We moved to Victorville, California in 1989/1990. Another brother started school over there, dealt with the whole white power, racist community, not very many minorities in the community. Struggled a little bit to fit in, but just persevered, pushed through. You got to find your groove in there and see what works for you.
Yeah. So did you go to high school up in Victorville?
I did. Yeah, I went up there. It was like my last year of elementary school, middle school, Hesperia Junior High, and then I went to Hesperia High School because there was no high schools in the part of Victorville where we lived in. So we had to get bused 8 miles to the other side of town to go to the high school up there.
Do you have any siblings?
I did. I have one sister from my mom and my dad. She's older. After my parents split up, my mom remarried and had a boy, 1990, and then another girl in 1995. My dad remarried and had 4 more girls. So pretty much that whole story with my mom and my dad and both of them kind of remarried, kind of left my sister and myself on an island to grow up together.
Are you close with your other siblings at all?
I am. I try to reach out to them, and I know that it's hard. It's hard sometimes, personally, knowing where I came from and wishing I had some guidance and some mentorship. So I try to reach out to them as much as I can. I'm really tight with, my older sister and my younger brother and my younger sister from my mom's side. I didn't grow up that much with my 4 sisters on my dad's side, and then I have an additional sister that we found later on, and I try to incorporate them, try to help them out as much as I can, but it's different. It's hard.
Right.
Everybody has their alliances, kind of.
Yeah. Did you play any sports or anything growing up?
I played, baseball, football, basketball, Little League through my whole time. Parents didn't go to a single game, but, I still went.
Right. Do you recall, when you started thinking about joining the military?
About freshman year in high school, I saw the recruiters. We knew, started kind of transitioning. Mom was kind of living her life with her husband and, her kids. Dad was living his life, and there was really no mentorship. We knew that there was not going to be no possibility for college. So my sister had started talking to the Navy recruiters. So she enlisted almost her senior year. She's 2 years older than I am. So it kind of set a little bug in my head that says, hey, this is a way out. So come 16 years old, I enrolled into the delayed entry program. I had my parents sign up. I stayed in the delayed entry program for about a year and a half. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Graduated high school May 29th, 1997 on a Thursday. And that Sunday, I left to Marine Corps boot camp. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how you remember the day?
Absolutely. 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
What was your experience like going into the recruiter's office?
Tell you the truth, I was excited. I felt that it was going to be kind of like freedom. You know, growing up in a Hispanic household, you're always kind of just getting drilled 24/7. You know, you can never do nothing right. Always getting chanclas thrown at you. So, you know, it was kind of like I love the outdoors. I love physical activity. You know, hunting and shooting and everything, and you know, so I was excited. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to go to the Marine Corps boot camp.
Yeah. So what was the experience like for you when you showed up to boot camp?
I thought it was funny. Really? I would get thrashed a lot. You know, I wore glasses, so that was an additional thing. You know, big old BCGs on top of my face. And every time the drill instructors would come up running and sliding down the squad base, just made me laugh all the time. So being from LA, they think we're Hollywood Marines. So constantly just thinking it's funny, go outside, push, you know, on your back, on your face, just constantly getting back. But I mean, it's only making you stronger. But the whole time, you know,
right,
you go through it.
Where'd you go to boot camp at?
I went to MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, California.
Was boot camp difficult for you at all? Was it a culture shock? Did you have a hard time with it at all, or did you kind of breeze by it?
I really didn't have any problems. It was pretty easy. The physical was easy. I ran a lot, so basically, if you could run, if you have any sports, you'll do fine in the Marine Corps. A little bit struggle with my pull-ups, you know. Never got my 20, but that was about it. I never really learned how to shoot with glasses, so I've always had bad eyesight, and I never really corrected my vision. Had bad glasses in there, so I had a little bit of trouble at the beginning understanding how to shoot. And then once I listened to the coaches and I kind of got directions on, you know, how to shoot, open eyes, closed eyes, and everything like that, I was able to, you know, qualify and get my badge.
Where did you go after boot camp?
Right after boot camp, we come home 10 days. After that, we go to the School of Infantry down in Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
What
was that like?
It was fun. It was fun. You know, every Marine's a rifleman, right? So if you're a grunt, an infantryman in the Marine Corps, we go to the School of Infantry. Anything else, any other MOS, you would go to MCT. So once you go to SOI, it's basically 0311 school. As I had the designation as a 0351, which is an anti-tank assaultman, immediately after SOI, we got sent to weapons school for an additional couple weeks where we learned anti-tank deployments, demolitions, and field expedient demolitions. We're ready.
How was that? You got to shoot a lot of big guns?
Basically, at that time, the 51s either can be weapons platoon or weapons company. Weapons platoon, we carry the small 153 rocket launcher. We carried some deck cord. We carried some C4. If you're associated with the weapons company in your battalion, you would be carrying a Dragon. So anti-tank weapons, bunker busters.
So you go through 2 weeks of weapons training school, and then where'd you go from there?
After that, immediately they send us to Chesapeake Bay in Virginia for Marine Corps Security Forces training. And once you go through Marine Corps Security, it's kind of a basis that filters out, and you can either go to guard special weapons, or you can go to 8th and I, or you can go to Camp David. So a lot of the Marines that you see guarding the White House or guarding the embassies, guarding around the world, those all Marines come through Chesapeake Bay, Marine Corps Security Forces Battalion.
Wow. Where'd you choose to go?
Well, they chose for me. You know, so I wanted to go to Rota, Spain, or Italy, but I got Bangor, Silverdale, Washington. Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was gloomy. It was raining. It was beautiful. It was kind of I got first experience of being a boot, you know, so a lot of the, you know, I don't want to call it hazing, but the shit duties, you know, coming in, getting the shitty post at the beginning. So I learned quickly that the faster you move up in post, the better you're going to have it up there. So, you know, any spare time I had, I would put in hours to move up through the post so that I can eventually hit 2-1.
Yeah. What was a typical day like in the Security Force Battalion?
When we weren't on duty, we were either training, learning, you know, 0530, 0600 PT, come back, shower, shave, go to breakfast, come back, either do education. Some people would go to bus driving school. Some people go to V-150 Commando driving school. Some people would, you know, practice their MCIs. You know, so it's a lot of training. It's a lot of school, getting ready for your next mission, which would be the guard.
And when you were on duty, you know, guarding these weapons, what was the schedule like? How did that work?
It's a basic rotation, 3 shifts that we would have. Basically 1 week on, 2 weeks off. You would go to this location, guard the special weapons, and then you would be on these shifts twice a day. So 4-hour increments, you would stay there and guard it on different posts.
Yeah. What was Libo like in Washington? You getting any shit out in town?
A couple times. Yeah. It was, especially being, you know, being very young. So when I got there, I was still 18 years old, right? So I think within the very first 6 months, the majority of my orientation group that I got there with got all busted down for underage drinking.
Oh.
Yeah, so any promotions that we had were immediately dialed down. So, you know, they were very serious on drinking. They were very serious on, you know, driving. So we had to be very discreet. You know, a lot of the times we would make our way up to Vancouver, Victoria, once we hit 19, so that we could indulge in some adult beverages.
In Canada, huh?
In Canada,
Nice.
absolutely.
Nice. So how long did you stay in Bangor, Washington?
I stayed for 2 years.
And did you get promoted while you were there?
I got promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal
Okay.
while I was there. Yeah.
And then from there, where did you end up going?
After Bangor, I got sent to the fleet down at 29 Palms, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines Echo Company, weapons platoon.
And
So-
what was that like coming from Bangor?
It was hard a lot of the time. So it's kind of like you're reliving all your junior Marine things that you started. So you're pretty much starting from the bottom. You got a lot of what we call salty Marines, you know, that've been there, done that. When I got there, in my unit, in my section, there was only Lance Corporals. So there was no Corporals. So they kind of knew everything. So I knew that in order to kind of earn my keep, I was going to have to be better, faster, smarter than everybody there to at least show that I belong.
Right.
So as soon as I got there, 1 week after that, we got sent to, the 11s got sent to Bridgeport, and all weapons, we got sent down to Camp Margarita to do division schools. So division schools where we relearn our MOS as a 51 or 31 or 41, whatever it is. We learn our scope right there. So that was kind of my first exposure and their first exposure to me. So you know, having one thing, you know, they're gonna try to run your dick in the ground
Right.
constantly. But once you show them that you can not only keep up but beat them, then it kind of changes the tone a little bit.
Right. They give you a little bit more respect. Little
They
by
do.
little. What year was this?
I left Bangor December of '99, and I had about 30 days of libo, so I didn't show up to about February of 2000 to the Twin Palms.
February 2000, 29 Palms.
Yep.
Ooh, what was that? What was it like being stationed out there?
It was hot. It sucked. There was nothing out in town. It's so it's a good place for a Marine to save money. It's a bad place for a Marine to get married. I'll tell you that. So
did you ever have to do CACs out there?
we did. In fact, I got promoted to the rank of corporal during CACs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we were out there. We had just finished Range 400. Our sergeant major was really hard. He wanted us to be hard, so we actually had to hump all the way from the barracks all the way to range to CACs, to the compound. We stayed out there. Within 2 days, on the way back after Range 400, we came back and I got pulled to formation, and I got pinned on to the rank of corporal out there.
Wow.
So
why did you get promoted? Was it just your time, or did you?
I guess my score, every month there's a score for promotion for every single MOS in the Marine Corps. I guess I had met all the scores in combination with my PFT, my rifle score, my MCIs, my time and grade, and all those scores combined were allowed me to meet the points to be eligible to reach the rank of corporal at that time. Yeah.
So, did you ever end up on a deployment with that unit?
I did. Yeah, so during February, we got back from division schools, and we went immediately to CACs for a couple weeks. We did a couple workups for about 17, 20 days at a time out in the field in 29 Palms. Mm-hmm. And then we started prepping for deployment on a UDP to Okinawa in August. So we all commercially flew, got to Okinawa, and got stationed on Camp Schwab, down at the southernmost base on the island.
And what was it like being in Okinawa?
It was beautiful.
Was it?
It was beautiful. I mean, we had the ocean right behind us, the culture, the food, the people. We got to do a lot of good training out there.
What kind of training did you do?
We got to go to the Jungle Warfare Training Center. So it's an adaptation of how Marines need to adapt and survive in a jungle warfare situation. Mm-hmm. So limited water, limited food, limited resources. So you have objectives and missions that we need to meet while you're out there. First you establish shelter, then you establish water, and then you establish food. So during the time out there, there's instructors that go out there and leave you in groups, and you kind of have to fend for yourself while you're out there and learn how to survive.
Wow.
So.
And how long were you in Okinawa?
The whole time from start to finish was about 6 months. There was a brief spill that we got to go to Pohang, South Korea. Mm-hmm. And while we were in Korea, we got an opportunity to train with the ROK, the ROKs, the Republic of Korea Marines. So it's a direct resemblance of the United States Marine Corps. Oh, wow. So all their uniforms, their insignia, their rank, everything, it's kind of like a mock of the Marine Corps,
Like pretty much the same branding, huh?
Same branding, yeah. So they, after the World War II, the Marine Corps played a huge part in Korea. And after the imperialism and the colonization of North and South Korea, and how the United States Marines were stationed there and kind of saved them from China and Japan.
Wow. What type of things did you do when you had days off in Okinawa?
We scuba dived, we snorkeled. Being Mexican and couldn't miss our beans and our carne asada, we'd actually get on the bus really early in the morning, and we would have to ride the bus a couple hours all the way to Camp Foster, because they're the only ones that had the big grocery store. So we had an ice chest that we would carry, and we would get on the bus, go all the way to Camp Foster, get all the flank steak, buy everything that we needed for the carne asada, and on the way back start prepping it, get back to the base, go to the back of Camp Schwab to the barbecue grill, and we'd start prepping the carne asada, and we'd have, Vicente Fernandez, mariachi, and blasting it in the back out there.
Wow.
So
So,
it was good.
Anything else you can remember about Oki?
We got into it was kind of hard. I got deployed. I picked up section leader right before the deployment. I would say it was kind of one of my first time leading a large group of men that were Marines that were directly responsible for. And I think at the beginning I wanted to make sure, being new, that it was important that they liked me, right? Now looking back, I think that was one of my failures in waiting to gain likes instead of waiting to gain respect, right? So I always led by example, right? I did everything that I did the Marines, but a lot of the time is, delegate duties, but you delegate responsibility and you're still holding people accountable for their actions. And I think, when we deployed, it kind of, everything unwound there. One of my Marines went UA while we were in Japan, and he stayed out in Gate 2 Street for about a month.
Wow.
We had a huge brawl with a lot of racist Marines that were on the base, showed their colors. So, it was kind of hard because I had Marines that I had been with from security forces that were Hispanic, and they were part of another unit. And then I had Marines that were from my unit that wanted to fight because they didn't like playing Mexican music. So it was kind of like a battle, because these are your brothers now, and you do everything for them next to you. But, it's like, how do you separate between past brothers and current brothers that are both Marines?
So it was a brawl, Marines against Marines?
Huge brawl, Marines against Marines. And nobody talked, nobody snitched, everything. We got called into the Master Sergeant's office. Everybody was banged up. No one said a word, and I think that's what got them mad the most is that, everybody kept to themselves. No one snitched, no one said nothing. We just kind of dealt with it on our own.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
we had a lot of Marines that, were a lot of scamming Marines, we call them. Light duty Marines. As soon as it got hard, they would find a way to go to sick bay, get hurt. So it was hard for me to kind of comprehend how these Marines wanted to be Marines, but always wanted to get a way to get out of what we were actually doing and training and participating in it. So
after you guys had that brawl, did it kind of mend you guys together, or was it just you guys just was
we did, yeah. During that time, we saw that this was the 11th platoon and the weapons platoon. We kind of talked, and understanding corporal to corporal, and some of them were sergeants, so they would come down and try to throw their rank out there. But once they're drunk and they're trying to fight, ranks out the window. It's respect is respect, whatever rank you had. We had we had a drunk platoon sergeant. He was a staff sergeant, couldn't hold his own. We almost brawled with him. So that was kind of my. He was my direct platoon sergeant, so understanding them, we got hit with a monsoon, so we got shut down, and basically Humvee comes, throws food at the barracks, and we were sheltered down for days at a time. So right before the monsoon, I run over to the PA and try to stock up on liquor, but there had been a lieutenant colonel for the whole regiment had put a quota on liquor, so we were only allowed to buy a 6-pack of beer. I had a 12-pack of beer, a bottle of Jim Beam, and a 5th of some Jack, and came back and got caught with everything, so got in trouble for that. Had to give away the beer, had to give away the liquor. So
why didn't they want you guys having more liquor than a 6-pack?
I think they figured Marines couldn't tolerate more than a 6-pack of beer.
Without brawling again.
Without brawling.
Wow. So you were out there for about 6 months, right?
Yes.
When did you get back?
We got back in February of 2001.
February 2001. And what happens when you get back from a deployment like that?
A lot of mail. Everybody receiving your packages, kind of workups. When I got back, it was kind of getting ready to PCS, my end of my EAS. I'm sorry, it was my end of active service. You know, the last couple months of my enlistment really put a bad taste in my mouth with everything that went in, with all the brawling and all the fighting and the poor leadership that we had. I got non-recommended. I got blocked from picking up sergeant. During that time, you know, I lost the section. I wasn't section leader after that, coming back after Korea. So I kind of, you know, I was bitter. I didn't want to re-enlist. I knew I wanted to go do more outside of the Marine Corps, and I was going to use my experiences to kind of transition into, you know, where my life goals were.
Right. Now, when were you set to get out when you got back?
I was set to get out in June of 2001.
June of 2001?
Yeah.
So do they, like, how does it work? So, you know, February to June, right? Was that what, 3 months, 4 months or so?
Yeah.
How does it work? Do they give you the opportunity to start looking for a job? How does it work?
Yeah, we have a lot of career counseling. So there's workshops that you can do. Different recruiters from outside agencies come in. Obviously, a lot of the three-letter agencies come to the base. They start handing you flyers. A lot of, you know, customs, border patrol, law enforcement, a lot of civilian transition kind of training, kind of any medical final things that you kind of have to get out. You kind of do it at that time and kind of get your affairs in order before you're ready to EAS.
Did any of that interest you?
It did. My whole plan was eventually to join the FBI.
Okay.
So get out, join the FBI. I had so much leave built up that I actually left the Marine Corps in April because I had almost 50 days saved of LIBO. So I EAS'd, and during that time, I believe I got like a SIRCOM so different awards and different letters that they were sending to the house. But I started working for one of my stepdad's friends as a road manager for music bands, and I started traveling. So it was fun, you know. And then so I kind of knew that I couldn't do that forever.
Right.
You know, it was too much partying. You know, Thursday to Tuesday, partying every night, different city, different group.
What kind of band?
Music, regional norteños. So we would travel from, you know, Oxnard to Idaho to Oregon to Washington down to Utah. So a lot of the times, a lot of these groups don't speak English. So when they were doing interviews, you know, we would have to fly to the radio station, prep them for the interview, then fly to another show and fly to another show, and constantly making sure that the talent was taken care of the whole time.
Now, was this a connection you had before you got out?
No, it kind of came through afterwards. You know, like I said, I wanted to go FBI and I wanted to go law enforcement. So I was kind of dipping my toe in a couple different ponds to see what would stick. I applied for Huntington Park Police Department. I went through the whole interview, decided not to go through with them. Then I started to go and understand what it entailed to be an FBI agent. And so I went to school. I started my school. I knew how to get my degree. So once I started getting my degree, 2001, September 11 hit. I really missed my opportunity to get back. I think that was one of the greatest things that always haunted me, is leaving all these young Marines that you've trained for so long. 9/11 hits, you're not there. You sent all your young Marines over to this war, and you just hope that you trained them enough that they're ready to go. You know, so, you know, fast forward 10 years later, you know, getting together with them, you hear it straight from the horse's mouth, you know, saying how it was and how they were forced to lead and how they were forced to really grow up really fast on this war, because it was a really young Marines that went to the war.
Right.
So,
You know, you're not the first one to say that too about some of the people from different branches that have gotten out a little bit before 9/11 on how they felt like they needed to be there, but
FOMO, right?
Yeah, right.
The fear of missing out.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
But then when you talk to the guys that did go and got into combat and stuff, what I hear is a lot of the guys is, they'd rather switch hats. It's like, it's. I was interviewing Rick the other day, and
Sure.
he was talking about it. It was either choose to go back in or raise his daughter. I don't know I forgot whether he had kids at the time, or be with his family and stuff, and stay whole, and stuff, because it fucked up a lot of people, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're so gung ho, you want to go to war, and then when you're there, it's like, fuck.
I think it's not the mentality of going and killing someone else, right? Mm-hmm. For me personally, I felt that I could do more good. I could do more help and protect more people by doing it out there. I mean, we had trained our whole career for this, right? We knew drills, we knew formations. We had all this in our head that we were finally going to be able to execute. And as a section leader, we could have impacted the performance. Even if we saved one life, even if we just protected one more Marine that would come back home, that would have been sufficient enough.
Right.
To be able to go there and fight. I mean, nobody goes to war for accolades. Nobody goes to war for medals.
Right.
You do it for your duty. You do it for your service. You do it for your country.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and at that time you would have been over 4 years in the military, and in a leadership position, and those are the type of Marines that we needed out there. As opposed to newer ones, having to become leaders in the middle of combat, right?
Absolutely.
Do you remember where you were at during 9/11?
Yeah, so funny enough, 9/11 is my birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I was driving to work that day. I had planned out here in town in Ontario, California, there's the big Dave & Buster's. And I had a bunch of friends and my wife, who's now my wife, we had just started talking. So that was going to be one of our first dates, was 9/11. And on the way to work, I'm listening to talk radio and I'm hearing that the towers got hit. And the emotions were raging, everything from sadness to fear to anger to disgust. I just couldn't believe that someone would come and, in our house, in our country, and do this. And how could we allow this? So that whole day just really, I called the radio and I was like, I'm done, I'm going. Like, that's it. And I don't even know why I didn't. And then later on, come to find out, my mom never gave me none of my paperwork from when I was getting recalled. So I was supposed to report, and I was never able to, right? Because all my information was going to my last known address, which is in Victorville. But when I got out of the Marine Corps, I moved back to my real dad's, to kind of rekindle. So I hadn't seen my dad growing up since I was young. So, come I was 18, 19, I was in the Marine Corps, I get a call from the Red Cross that says someone wants to talk to me. It's my dad. He had a stroke. He was dying. And he kind of he says, it's been a fucked up life. I was never there for you. Can we just talk? Can we just go on? Can we start something from this point on? So that was my attempt to kind of say, hey, we're going to put work in it. Might as well move down there and see what it's about. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of living with him, wasn't getting any of the information over there. So that night, we squashed the whole Dave & Buster's, and just my cousin and his two little brothers and my now wife just went and grabbed some pizza that night and just watched the news, as it transpired.
Wow.
So.
What did you get into after working with the music group?
Right after that, I did a little bit of construction. Uh, I knew that I wanted to get married, so I started dating my wife. September, come January, February of the next year, 2000. I knew I was gonna get married. I knew she was the one. Didn't need to prolong it. Asked her to marry. We started planning it. I knew that there was no trust fund, so if any wedding that was gonna happen, it was gonna have to be on us. So just working extra shifts, working construction, working double time, working weekends, anything that we could do to raise money to pay for our wedding, we were gonna do. So during that time, I started doing that. I started going to school. I enrolled in school. I wanted to become an engineer. I was going to school that night from 6 to 10 every single night in order to stay on plan. I was taking about 23 credits a semester just to make sure that I could stay on course. Went to school, transitioned out of the construction because it just had me driving too far, so I couldn't make it back to school in time. So I had a cousin that was working at a Jiffy Lube. So I went, and Jiffy Lube was kind of downtown LA. I interviewed with the owner. He said, yeah. I started working for the owner. In 2 weeks, I got promoted to assistant manager. And then about 2 months later, I got promoted to store manager. So I was a store manager for a Jiffy Lube franchise in Southern California. I started off at the Santa Monica store. And then after that, I got sent to the mid-cities down at Pico and San Vicente. So I worked there as Jiffy Lube for a very long time while I was kind of going to school. Did my schooling, graduated from Westwood College in 2004 with a bachelor's in science and computer network management with an emphasis in security.
Oh, wow.
So once I knew that, I left Jiffy Lube. I started kind of freelancing in the IT world. But I still had, during that time, I had seen the show on Discovery about missing and exploited children. And they were holding a job fair down in San Diego for the Halo Corporation. And it's a bunch of veterans that go and travel and rule the world and rescue missing and exploited children. So I kind of figured that this is I wanted to do this.
Right.
So I sat with them, I passed their interviews, got an offer from them. But at that time, we kind of decided, my wife and I, that we were gonna. If I did that, I was gonna be away from the family for a very long time. The wedding wasn't gonna be able to happen on the time that we did it. So didn't join them. I stayed working with as freelance IT. I was doing a lot of work for the mortgage industry at that time. As we know, the mortgage industry crashed. So I started working for IndyMac Bank, IT. Left IndyMac Bank, and I did loans for a while. Did some mortgage industry loans. Saw that how it works. Basically, I wanted to be able to buy my own house. So I went and I took the real estate license, got my real estate license, started doing loans, did my own loan, did some family members' loans, made some quick money, bought our house. And then I really wanted to settle down into a job that I knew that I could have a career. So I joined this furniture company down in Santa Fe Springs, California, and I was their network admin for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
I'm the managing partner of a low voltage company in Santa Fe Springs, California. So we do infrastructure cabling and audiovisual integration in anywhere from all of California and Idaho, Nevada. So
Nice. You got another company, right?
I do, yeah. I formed another company called Veteran Integration. It's a DVBE and small business recognized in the state of California under a C7 low voltage contractor's license. So it helps other organizations integrate and be able to participate in some of these state awarded contracts. So being part of the Pacific Modular Alliance down here in Southern California, it kind of puts together different trades and different businesses, and it makes it easier for organizations to be able to meet their needs during new construction or TI, just tenant improvement.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it sounds like you're doing great, man. When you, got out of the Marine Corps, was it a pretty smooth process for you, or did you struggle at all transitioning from, how the Marine Corps culture is to getting back into civilian life?
a little bit. I did. I feel that having those 45, 50 days of libel and having a continued paycheck, I really didn't take advantage of it. I wish I would have had something lined up. I wish I would have had either, I'm going to be a cadet, or I'm going to go to school, or I'm going to go to the police academy, whatever I had. I wish I'd have started prepping at least 6 months before I got out, so that I wouldn't have a lapse. Because once you EAS, those checks stop coming. Medical stops coming, right? So then you really have to understand what's your next move. So that's one thing I wish I would have prepared a little bit earlier, and you kind of get tunnel vision, right? You're just focused on that EAS date, and you kind of don't say, hey, what's next?
You're just waiting to get out.
Yeah.
So what would you, is there anything that you would do different now that you've been through, you served your military service? What would you tell, somebody getting ready to sign up today, not just the Marine Corps, but in any branch of service? What type of advice would you give a young man or woman?
I would say pick an MOS that you feel that's going to be able to be translatable into your future career. So, if there's not really nothing that we can do aside from you want to be a cop, you're going to do infantry or military police, but kind of know at least 5-10 years down the road what you want to do. So if you want to do avionics, air wing, or whatever you plan on doing, set your foundation. And set your foundation early so that you set goals and milestones for yourself to make sure you stay on track during the whole time. And if something doesn't happen, it's okay. But at least you have a trajectory where you can go left and right. Have a backup plan.
And are you enrolled in the VA healthcare system?
I am.
Yeah. What's that been like for you?
You know what? At the beginning, it was kind of while during jungle warfare training, I fell down about a 20-foot embankment and tore my meniscus in my knee. So once I got back, they took care of it. It was all documented. I had a fear of going to the VA because I didn't want it to affect any of my future career. So I still had that FBI mentality. I didn't want to seem broken. Mm-hmm. So I kind of stayed away from the VA for a very long time. During that transition, I didn't have any health care. I didn't have any medical. And I played an adult softball league. I went for a diving catch, landed on a sprinkler, knocked myself out, went into a full concussion. So I had to get taken to a hospital because that's all I had. So I got taken to the VA in Long Beach, California. And, they took care of me. They gave me my card and said, hey, come. If you need to come. But, I kind of brushed it under the rug. I said, okay, this is a one-time occurrence. I don't want to flood the system. I don't want to be in the system and consider to be a liability or consider to be broken and kind of have a mark on me.
Right. Wow. So you tore your meniscus in Oki, you said?
I did.
Have you gotten that service connected?
I did. Yeah.
And what was that process like for you?
It was extremely easy. I still had my SRB, my service record book, with all of my my medical X-rays, the MRI reports. So when I filed, I just uploaded all my records, and it took a while. It took about 6 to 8 months from start to finish. But I never had any rejection letters. I never had in there. But I really didn't take the time to understand everything that was service related, So there was other things that I should have applied for and I didn't apply for because I just didn't know. I didn't know they were service related. I didn't know I had these things until later, right? Who knows you have a deviated septum from the fighting that you did on hand-to-hand combat in the Marine Corps, right? Mm-hmm. Who the hell knows what a septum is, right? So you start learning these things as you start getting older, which affects your life in different aspects, right? So a lot of the times it's hard now trying to get the VA to understand that just because we didn't know what it was then doesn't mean it's not there.
Right.
So there's a lot of not knowing. I see now there's a lot more organizations that can help you and bridge that gap between not knowing and knowing and what's the process of getting there. So I think that's a huge step. Now I go to the VA more. It's really easy now. They have these VA clinics popping up in rural areas, so it's easier to get in and get out.
Yeah. It sounds like it might have been an easy process for you since everything was, like you said, documented in your SRB and everything, right?
Correct.
But it's not like that for a lot of men and women that have been out, right?
Correct.
I don't know. Have you heard anybody, or do you know anyone that's dealing like it's
Oh yeah, I have a lot of friends that their feet, their knees, their back, right? As a grunt, that should be automatic. I mean, doing these 25, 30 mile crest humps and having an 80 pound rack, it can affect you for a very long time. The irregular sleep patterns that we had, some of these people never got back. Some of these people never snored. Not until we got back. The migraines, the irritable bowel system, whatever it is, a lot of people now are relating. I have friends that have been struggling for years, just trying to prove the doctors, spending it's time, it's money, it's life, trying to make sure that they're getting taken care of and they get the proper benefits that, that's recognized.
Right. Right. It could be a stressful process.
Definitely. Not to mention if they're dealing with other things, right? They're coming back from war. Mm-hmm. That's just one more thing on top of it and getting rejected. And imagine serving your country in a time of war, putting your life on the line to come back to get rejected. It's like, why do I have to justify myself to you when you weren't there?
Yeah. There's a mantra, if you will, people that have developed, anxiety, depression, PTSD, any of those types of disabilities from the military that are afraid to talk about it because they feel weak, like it makes them a weak person. And I'm just curious what your perspective is on that and about these men and women actually talking about it.
I think it takes a bigger man in the community to be able to go out and recognize and speak to people. Does it make you weak? Does it make you soft? I think showing compassion and going out there and kind of assisting someone and kind of bridging the gap with someone that you see. And I think that's where you're the band of brotherhood, right? And if we see that someone's hurting, you don't have to broadcast the situation. But I think it falls on each and every Marine to kind of understand their brothers and what they're going through and kind of stepping in and be like, hey, what can we do to get you through this, right? Mm-hmm. And just kind of staying there and, and helping them through it. But, Marines need to be able to talk and experience in anything, from our short temper, from our anger, from the way that we handle everything. It's kind of like we were trained to kill, 24/7. It was like, open doors, shoot, bang, come down, ask questions later. We weren't hostage negotiators. We weren't, So I think that the impulse that we have, even coming out, is we got short triggers. And I think, that's one of the things that I think we all need to cope with, even now, is like, how do we snap? Don't take things so, energy and kind of take back and understand it and really transition into, listen more and talk less. Okay.
Do you miss the camaraderie in the military?
I do. I had a lot of good friends. I had a lot of good brothers, but we also had a lot of bad friends. A lot of the times when you feel that you got good friends, but sometimes the intention is not there. And you want to make sure that people that are going to be there for you 24/7 are kind of the ones that you want around, right? So.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap it up, man. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
I just think people in the community to really understand the sacrifice that all service members make out there. It's not a uniform thing. It's not a college tuition thing. It's really the pride for country. It's really the pride for their Corps and their family. And I think in the future, I think we should really look into establishing some kind of system where it requires all men to go to some kind of service and understand what it takes to protect this country.
A lot of people don't understand that, huh?
They don't.
Yeah.
Freedom isn't free.
Right. All right, brother. Well, hey, thanks for being here, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely, man. I'm really happy for you guys. I'm really happy. I think you guys are doing a great job. I think Urban Valor is a great message. And I really hope it reaches out to a lot of people. And I hope it goes viral. Yeah. Because this message needs to get heard. It's loud. And wish you the best.
I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
We won't be able to do it without people having the courage to sit down like you just did to tell your story. Because really, it's people like you that are going to be the backbone of this company, really. So from the bottom of my heart, man, I really, really do appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more.